How's it going, guys? Rhino here, and it's kind of funny because I actually just made a video on my main channel where I sit in the front of the camera and talk, and I didn't make a gaming video, which is what I typically do. But I'm actually doing that here too. We're not responding to, well, we are responding to a video, but the video is not going to be playing in the background because, well, you can tell from the title, I'm responding to The Triggering, which was a talk given at UMass by Steven Crowder, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Christina Hoff Sommers. I don't know why I always forget her name. It's kind of funny. But it was a talk given by those three, and it was a pretty interesting one. They made pretty good points throughout, and I mean, from what could be heard over the people heckling them and bitching and shit. And it was a very interesting video to watch. I actually watched it 2 days ago. I started it in the morning and I finished it after I got home from work because it's a long video, and so obviously I'm not going to be responding to that here because that would make this like a 3-hour long fucking video if I responded to every point. But I wanted to give myself time to think about it because I wanted to reflect on what was said, not only their side but also the opposing side, just so I can really express what I'm actually thinking. Because sometimes when I do these live reaction videos, I don't necessarily say what I want to say. I don't even really know how to say it. I say something that is a good point, but it's not really the point I was trying to make because I just couldn't really think of the right words to say, which of course is what happens in all my videos because I'm a fucking moron. But it really affects the outcome of a video. But here I want to talk about something specific, actually. So this is not necessarily a response to the whole triggering. And if you haven't watched it, I strongly urge you to watch it. If you don't have an hour and a half to kill, I suggest breaking it down in like 10-minute segments and watching it like whenever you have a break or something. It really is a good watch, and it's kind of funny because that's where the Trigglypuff meme comes from, and you can actually hear her yelling as soon as the presentation starts. But one thing that I really took away from this, and this is something that I've kind of noticed but not really, I didn't understand the full ramifications of this, of what actually is going on. Because with typical, I mean, I'm an atheist, and I've seen and gone to debates and had my own debates about religion, and oftentimes it's, hey, I make a point, then this person makes a point, I counter that point, they counter my point, and so on and so forth, and that's how a debate works. And in religion, that debate usually is pretty fluid. I mean, it just is, I make a point, they make a counterpoint that they think is a valid counterpoint. Now I present a counterpoint on why I think their counterpoint is invalid, and we go back and forth like that, which is fine. I'm saying that people have valid arguments, not necessarily that they hold true, but they are valid. They're still arguments, and they are a basis for arguing for what they're trying to say. In the case of feminism and social justice warriors, as well as all those other social groups that are kind of lumped into what is coined the regressive left, that they don't do that. I mean, if you watch The Triggering, literally the whole time, all they do is yell racist, transphobe, and sexist, and misogynist, and all those terms, homophobe. I don't think I threw that in there. They just throw out these terms because they think it's a disabler. They hear someone talking about feminism in a bad light, and they think, oh, you're automatically a sexist. And so instead of trying to make a valid rebuttal to what is being said, they just say, oh, you're a sexist. It's their way of disabling you. And it's an incredibly dishonest tactic. It's the exact same as if I was having a debate with a Christian about religion and atheism. After every point that they made, instead of rebutting what they are saying, just saying, you're a moron. You're fucking pathetic. You're sad. You're an idiot. You're stupid. Every single time. How does that sound? Does that sound like a valid point? Does that sound like a valid argument? Of course not. If you are a feminist, well, I need to specify that I'm talking about radical feminism here. When I say in my videos feminism a lot, and what I'm talking about is radical feminism. Because I've met plenty of logical feminists. It's the radfems, the SJWs, and shit like that I have problems with. And those are the people that I'm talking about. If you wish to ever make a difference when it comes to things like racism and sexism, which, yes, they do exist in the world, not in the Western world, but they do exist, then you need to give actual arguments for what you're saying. This is oftentimes why you rarely ever see a feminist respond to a video or respond to a comment or allow comments, is because they don't allow dissenting opinions. They don't accept it. They see it as they are objectively right and everyone needs to accept their worldview, or, well, that's it. That there's no or. That's it. Everybody has to accept their worldview, and they shut out anyone who doesn't agree, which is honestly what 5-year-olds do when they plug their ears and don't listen to what's being said. It's honestly like dealing with toddlers, which is pretty sad, actually, because this is a movement that brands itself as the ultimate good. And it's actually kind of an authoritarian point of view, because they view it as, oh, our worldview is the only good worldview and your worldview is terrible, so you need to live like us, which is quite authoritarian. And that is honestly why I'm terrified to ever have a feminist president, because it would kind of enable these radical feminists to do more than what they already do, and they already do enough harm. So that's kind of it for what I have to say. Key points are of the triggering are, I strongly suggest listening to Steven Crowder's opening statement. It's amazing because he pretty much says what we're all thinking, and he puts it in perfect words without us actually saying it. As well as listen to the Q&A. But I strongly suggest watching the entire video because it's actually pretty interesting. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.